just how good is the Shahanshah? Introduced back in the Uber update and practically untouched since, this sniper melee weapon is pretty much completely forgotten by the community. It's just got a crippling downside, an only mediocre upside, and no interesting or unique stats to make it memorable in any way. Since we're on that topic, let's take a quick look at the stats on this weapon. Alright, let's start with the good stuff. So we've got a situational damage buff. 25% increased damage when health is below 50% of max. Now this buff's actually quite significant. 25% is really quite nice. But don't be fooled. The negative effect is more than enough to overturn this benefit. So, when the sniper is above 50% max health, he gets a 25% decrease in damage. It's quite clear what concept the weapon designers were going for. Like something like the equalizer, it does more damage when you are low health and less when you are high. Funnily enough, if you're exactly half, you will still have the damage penalty. Wouldn't want to make it overpowered, right? This penalty is pretty severe. To put this into perspective, if you're high health, your melee weapon has the killing potential of something like the Homewrecker or the Gloves of Running Urgently. And that's it. As you can see, the Shahanshah shares the gist of its main gimmick with the equalizer, and shares identical damage bonuses and penalties with quite a few other weapons. I think you can see what I mean when I said this weapon wasn't memorable. However, I can still make out a glimmer of hope in these sad stats. Other plus stat minus stat guns have been saved by the simple addition of another interesting upside to mix things up. Take the Winger, for example. Originally, it was a pretty bad straight downgrade to the pistol in most situations. But now with its jump bonus, it's become a serious contender for Scout's secondary slot, and an incredibly fun weapon to equip and play with. I hope something similar will happen to the Shahanshah in the near future. Because the only changes to the Shahanshah are the damage it deals, we're going to have to just analyze that. Alright, now we've got a great opportunity to have a look at the damage that the Shahanshah does compared to stock at high health and at low health. And yeah, there's some bad news for this weapon. It really doesn't hit any useful kind of number of hits to kill classes on the higher end, but at the same time, on the lower end, it's constantly missing out on kills. Sniper's a class that relies on those random melee crits to kill incoming demos and soldiers, and you just can't do it. For example, even if you go to the trouble of getting a mini crit with the damage buff, you still won't even one-shot a 125 health class. It'll still be 2 swings to get them down. Even against like 175 health, the stock still does it in the exact same time, even if you're in the perfect situation. Being half health as sniper is just so dangerous, and only a 25% damage buff for being in that range just isn't enough. The most useful thing I can get out of this information is that the Shahanshah is great against people with a lot of health and overheal. That 244 damage is massive, but otherwise, it's lacking. And just when you thought matters couldn't get any worse for the poor Shahanshah, there's another weapon that does exactly what it can, but far better and far more reliably, and that is the Bushwhacker. The Bushwhacker's unique ability to transform mini crits into crits means that it's basically crits on demand, with Sniper having access to crit enabling weapons like the Girardi and the Cleaner's Carbine. It does have a damage vulnerability, but I'd much rather have a damage vulnerability at full health than have to be below 60 to do any kind of damage with my melee. You could argue that the Shahanshah is good in loadouts where you don't have access to mini-crit enablers, which, you might be onto something, but the fact that the Shahanshah is a constant burden if you're not below 60% health means that it's not going to be the reliable weapon you're looking for in that situation. But don't worry, it's not all doom and gloom. I have saved the best for last. Here is the best way you can use your Shahanshah at the moment. So you're going to want to head over to your crafting menu, and you're going to want to throw in some refined metal first of all. Excellent, and then you want to go and find your Shahanshah, and go ahead and put it right in, and get yourself a nice hat. And I mean, you got to be happy with that.